Healer bandages, everybody knows how to use and what they're for. They make, great slings, and, Melinda is the master of figuring out what she needs and just using what's available. And if she needs to cut it up or make or manipulate whatever it is, she just makes what she needs. There's some little 5x9 ABD pads. These are more compression bandages for larger type wounds in here. There's some iPads, and I just love that we're putting iPads in our first aid kit. I was thinking, it's an iPad. What we call them, not an iPad. So I got a kick out of saying I'm putting iPads in my kit. So you all get 2 iPads with your kit. Okay, and then there's tape. And Melinda was telling me, she goes, you use it a lot. And at first we only had these 2, and she says, you use it for so many things. If you can, I double it up. So we actually have 2 1-inch and 2 1/2 inch. Let's see, there's actually 2 3-inch and 1 4-inch. This is like an ace bandage. We call them Sure Wrap because then it's not the same. It's not the same price as the ace bandage. It's the no name. But anyways, okay. And then these are non-sterile. They're the same 2x2 gauze that these are, but these are sterile and these are non-sterile. And you just get the whole package. There's 200. Isn't that cute? Okay, who's ever been hiking? Who's ever needed moleskin? Okay, this was such a find because we get 6x9 sheets of moleskin for blisters, for just, this works. This is awesome. We use it all the time. At girls' camp, we were cutting little squares all the time of the moleskin. This is the one that I actually used so often. And I put them in a little separate baggie because I didn't want them floating around, because then you could pull it out. There are 100 Band-Aid strips. Well, they're Curad, but so they're not Band-Aid, but just the regular Band-Aid strips. Then there's 10 knuckles. There's 10 2x4s. And then there's this little box of 12 butterflies. So it's this really nice assortment of Band-Aids. Now, in mine, I actually had taken, when I do this, I usually keep my bacitracin, or if you have Neosporin or any triple, and we're not selling this, you can get this anywhere. A lot of times, I would just tuck mine down in here because I was always using them together. So a lot of times I would store it like that. Then there's 2 finger splints. These are not, they're exactly like this, but they're 2 of the same. This is a small and a large. But you know how the, that's okay. We can go in the dark. You know the finger splints, and then you can put the tape around it. So there's just 2 that are right in between that side. But there's 2 finger splints. There's biohazard bags, so all of your, it becomes hazardous waste when things now are contaminated and they have blood on them, and I know that sounds gross. But now there's some biohazard bags so you can properly dispose of everything. And then this is the second part of the bag. And these, again, now are going to be non-sterile, but there's 100 of these. And then we've got 8 of the sterile wraps. So typically you'd want to put, something like this, and when it bleeds, let's say I have a big gash on my arm. So when it bleeds and bleeds through, you don't take this one off. You're just going to add to it. But the next ones don't have to be sterile. See, now I can keep adding these, and pretty soon I'm going to want to, when I hold it, we're going to hold pressure on it, then we can wrap it to stay on, we can tape them to stay on, and you'll want to keep it off until you can, or keep it, until then you're going to redress it or whatever.
What size are those sterile ones?
What's that?
What size?
These are 4x4s and these are 2x2s. So then there's 100 of these non-sterile 4x4s, and then like I say, then there's like 8 of these sterile gauze wraps. Okay, so that's the bandage pack. There's like almost 500 pieces in here. So I'm going to leave this all undone so you can just come up, because I know the contents aren't listed there. And there is an extra one of these. There's actually 2 of the 3-inch and one of the 4-inch. Okay, so
scissors for it.
What's that?
Scissors.
Oh, we're getting to that. We'll do that right now. Actually, we have a little tool kit. If you look on, that's $2.96. It's a tool kit, and you know what? If you want to, take out the bandage scissors and stick them make this kit however you're going to use it, whatever is convenient. So these are the bandage scissors because they have, okay, so they have the blunt end here, so when you're cutting through, you know, you don't cut somebody's skin up. So if you want, you can take your bandage scissors out and slide them right down in your bandage pack. I mean, if that's the way you use them, I say go ahead, make that manipulation there. Okay, so this is kind of a new item for me because when Melinda came over, look, I don't even know how to use them yet. Okay, so does anybody know what this is called? Hemostat. It's a hemostat. Now, first she's telling me that, I'm going,
Fishing pliers.
yeah, fishing pliers, whatever you want to call them. I had to say, what are they and what are they for? Okay, but these things rock because one, they lock. They don't cut. It's not something you cut, but they lock. So if you had to do sutures, you could like do that, or if you had to pull out a splinter or whatever, they just lock and they just have that tip that just grips. You know, and like I love the tweezers, and we have the forceps in here too. But you know, like on tweezers, and you want to use, you'll have plenty of uses for these too. You know how you have to keep them, you have to hold it tight to keep it, you know, to pull something out. See this, you can just lock it in place, and you don't have to keep that tension on it. Anyways, Melinda just says, as a trauma nurse, she says she has these all over. She uses them all the time. So I said, oh, they're going in our toolkit then. They're going in our toolkit because I'm going to learn how to use these. So you get the hemostat, you get the little bandage scissors, and then you get sharp scissors. You know, you get they're real scissors. Now, I got these because now I know this is going to sound funny, but I'm going to have everything I need to do my own sutures if I had to. And I thought, oh, this you could do for a little suture removal, or if you had to cut, you know, whatever. I mean, these are just a nice little sharp, pointy scissors. And then, of course, the little forceps. So if you look at the tool kit, these are the 4 items that you get in there. And then you don't have to keep them in there. Like I say, put that bandage, you know, the bandage scissors in your bandage kit, or whatever. Okay, let me just. Oh, I know, we got these for a steal. So this, anyway, she says they're normally like $5. I can't remember what they were, $1.50 or something. Yeah. So anyway, so there's the bandage kit and the tool kit. Okay, so then we thought, okay, see, we wanted to try and find things that were harder to find, or maybe you wouldn't know where to find, and so. This is a wound cleaning kit. Okay, now you don't have to keep it in this bag if you don't want to, but it'll come like that. But it has the hydrogen peroxide, it has the betadine solution, and now it has this eye wash. Now, I'll tell you why I ended up putting the eye wash in here. Because the saline solution that Melinda really wanted, they wouldn't let me buy without a prescription. So we had to go to Plan 2. So the eye wash is a saline solution, and if you buy like true saline solution, it like doubled in price. So this says eye wash, and it's great for eye wash, but it's also great to wash out other wounds. So don't think that you can't, just because it says eye wash, you can't use it to wash out, you know, any other wound, because that's just saline solution. And then there's this little syringe, and if you wanted to, you could put this in the hydrogen peroxide, and then you could squirt it out. You could, you know, clean a wound that way. Anyways, there's a lot of uses for this that are not just for wound cleaning. Especially like when you have little kids and you need like something, a medicine dropper or something like that. It came out, you know, really nice. Then we have just cotton rounds and Q-tips, and believe it or not, we use those all the time, especially if you wanted to put the hydrogen peroxide and clean off a wound, or you know, apply the little betadine solution. So this is like the little wound cleansing kit. And you know, there's going to be lots of other things that you have that you're going to want to put in it. In fact, there is, oh, maybe I don't have it. Did you get a list of all the things? Okay, so you're going to want to put, now I'll tell you, it kind of